Hi there, Z here, and life seems pretty sweet. Life seems almost livable when you find a video game sequel that actually stays true towards its original self, Because in the industry nowadays, in the video game industry nowadays, there's so many trends out there. Battle Royale games or like Overwatch clones or fucking, God forbid, awful MOBA games. And you can definitely tell that the companies are just sitting around like, yeah, we could probably do that. We could probably compete with one of these. We'll take our original beloved IP and shit all over it, losing the respect of our fans and losing a ton of money in the process. Let's go ahead and try this. And you know why they fucking do it? You know why they successfully run off and literally throw away their entire franchise? Because of the microtransactional greed and the unintuitive idea, because why the fuck not? The gaming industry nowadays is just so chock full of incestuous bullshit behavior. Every single scumbag out there looking to take every nickel and dime from gamers' Cheetos encrusted fingers, and they don't give two flying fucks about original ideas or interesting gameplay. I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna have a stroke at the age of 32. But every so often, they actually do. Every so often, they actually stick towards their original principles and their original idea, and they work off the idea that they were doing before. And when they put it into early access, that's all of a sudden in my territory. So why don't you guys come and join me for another alpha-ass review of Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain is a game that, frankly, I am shocked that I have not mentioned before on this channel. It's a real good game to mindlessly play, and it's really only for $10. And, how about I just do a real quick review of it right now? It feels a little weird that I've never done it before with it being so good of a game. So here is my gaming on a budget review of Risk of Rain on fast forward for your consideration. Risk of Rain is a video game from developers Hopoo Games, which kind of sounds like a fecal matter candy bar, and is a Metroidvania platformer where you play one of many different characters, with most of them being locked behind the dreaded black sensor bar of doom at the beginning. It's a very simple, very fun game where you run around killing randomly spawning enemies and getting cold hard cash for doing so, a lot like an assassin, but you aren't killing political leaders, you're killing flying jellyfish, the thing that sleeps under your bed, and pissed off parakeets. And with that earned cash, you buy chests that give you items to help increase your speed, healing, damage, and how long you last in bed, can be used at statues that give you a test that, if passed, awards you with an item, or you could fix up little robots that can help you fight or heal. And when you finally feel like you're ready to go on to the next level, you could try to activate this structure, which summons an epic and unique boss fight. Seriously, these are really, really interesting bosses and really fun to fight. And when you actually do kill them, you kill the rest of their rabble, and boom, you go on to the next level where you keep fighting and try to survive as long as you can, unlocking characters and items along the way. And before you try to grind your way into getting all the money and XP you're ever going to need at the very first level, keep this in mind. At the very end of the level, you don't keep the money, but you keep the items, and there is a timer that slowly increases difficulty throughout the entire game, so make sure to choose your time wisely. Overall, it's a fantastic game that I'm glad I found. I put tens of hours into it already, and it's only $10 regularly. I mean, what else do you have to lose, really? Buy it! Alrighty then, that was pretty much the gist of it. So, how is this one any different, you may be wondering? Well, instead of playing in boring old 2D, you are now living in the glorious 3D, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Hopoo Games is now living in the future. I mean, living in the early 2000s, because that's when it was really starting to get popular with, 3D video games. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. Let's not get hung up on semantics here. And let me tell you, this shit is fan-fucking-tastic. They took an idea that was fairly fun to begin with, play the game, unlock items and characters to play the game again as the new characters, find new bosses to fight, and overall just enjoy the mindless entertainment that's put in front of you. Take all of that, and then add a third dimension shooter element to it, and it changes fucking everything around you. I know it doesn't sound like it does, but it really does. Now, being an alpha, there's a limited amount of things that you can do with this game, obviously. The extra characters are locked behind the get better at the game, and you might be able to play this person, or they're not even instituted in the game yet. Same thing with the relics, which are just pretty much modifiers for the entire game, leaving you with the commando, which is fine. I mean, he's pretty much the middle-of-the-road character. He has a dash, an assault attack, and a penetrating shot, and then a final move that stuns enemies in place and does a ton of damage. He's just okay to loosen up with and get your feet nice and wet for this game. But for those of you out there who have played the first game, and still those of you out who have never heard about the series, what can you expect? Well, They still have things like gun robots and medic robots that you could pay to follow you around, although they do get stuck at some points, which, I mean, it's alpha. We already talked about this. Shit like that's just going to happen. There's still capsules with gold and experience in them, little chests that you have both items from the first game and items that they just introduced to this game, so everything is pretty much shot-for-shot copy with the first one, besides these little machines where basically you can feed it an item that you don't want, and then you get out a new item, which is, I mean, kind of neat, not really necessary, so moving on. You also get the same statues that give you items and take away health in exchange for coins and other things like that. And at this point, some of the fans of this might be saying, is this it? Like, is this just a 3D version of the same game? And yes, it is, but you have no idea how much better it feels to play this game when you have depth to the gameplay. Getting surrounded by enemies? Take the high ground and start murdering the bitches. Have a precise target that you're wanting to take out first. Hey, you don't have to shoot into a group of enemies and hope you hit what you're looking for. You can actually be a little bit more accurate, and it just makes it so much more fun. This is taking the very foundation of the first game and simply just making it better with new tweaks and items to put out. And the art design of this is very nice to look at. Obviously, you need a little bit more definition to it, but again, it's an alpha, so it's kind of understandable. It kind of reminds me of Borderlands a little bit. Don't ask me why I think that. I'm not really an artist, so I can't really understand what makes me think of that, but it just does. Just don't get off my back. And whereas at the beginning it almost seems too easy, right? You can't really find the enemies because these massive, massive levels. Can I talk about that for a second? I think I will. These levels are huge, and they're just almost too big. They're almost too big because most of the time you can't even find what you're looking for. Like, you're trying to find the thing to get the boss out, and you're like, I can't fucking find it. I've been running around in circles for 13 hours, but I'll get to that a little bit later on. But yeah, Little Craig guys, Angry Birds, every so often you get a big golem that comes out. Everything is super easy though. It doesn't take a lot to dodge them. It doesn't take a lot to take them down. Cut to 20 minutes later where you're on level 3 or 4 and enough time has elapsed that you're now at the difficulty level of slap chop my nuts and call me Sally and staring down a fucking wall of enemies, large and small, elite and regular, and you are just desperately trying to run around to find boxes and robots and statues and auto turrets and anything that you could try to even the odds before inevitably dying and trying again. Not to say this game is absolutely perfect, 11 out of 10 type shit, but like the first one, the boss beacons that randomly spawn all over the map, whereas 2D, it's super, super easy to find those. You just kind of need to walk around for long enough until you get it. With this one having ledges and ponds and multiple levels of bullshit, it's really hard to find sometimes. I was stuck on this level for damn near 20 minutes, killing Flying Skull after Flying Skull, completely lost on where the fucking thing was, and then when I finally found it, it was jammed underneath a platform covered with a bunch of branches and corpses of my enemies, and when I fought the boss, I was already at way too high of a level and I got slaughtered. So, if part of the gameplay is Where's Waldo bullshit, and they purposely put it in there to try to make it hard to find, I can't say I enjoy it, but I can understand it. And that's it. I know it really seems cut and dry because it really is. What they did is they just took the premise of the first game and made it better with the second game. Now, the first game still has its merit. The first game I still love and I will still keep playing that one. But this one's really fun with just the incorporation of new items, maybe new characters. I'm not quite sure. I only unlocked one other one and it was like a huntress class, and I've never found that in the first one, but again, the first one had like 14 different classes, so I may have just not unlocked it. I don't really know. But the point is they took the first game that was good and they made it better with this one here. Some people might like the 2D environment, some people might like the 3D environment, but in my personal opinion, this was a wonderfully alpha game. I had a phenomenal time with this one, and it's only $20. If you don't want to spend $20 or you want to dip your feet in the water a little bit, buy the first one. It's only $10. This is a very cheap option for those of you out there who have debilitating, disorders, or you're trying to save up money to buy presents for your friends or girlfriend. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that was obviously a joke. We all know that you don't have any friends. I know this because I don't have any friends. Let's be completely fair with each other here, guys. We're all here because we're all equally alone here. And yeah, sure, we could probably do a little bit more with our lives. Solving cancer, solving the crippling hunger issue in the entire world. Yeah, we could do that. But it's too much work. So just take it from me. Buy one of these games and forget about all the negativity in your life. because it's gonna help. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot for sticking around.